Welcome. I am your Polkadot Specialist, Vol, and today we're going to talk about Interlay. We're going to talk about what is Bob. We're going to talk about my thoughts on what this means, Interlay and Bob, and how this impacts Polkadot. So if you like this particular episode, please like and subscribe and be highly and greatly appreciated. So let's kind of get started into it. So just to kind of give you a little background, I was looking into my top 5 projects that might be under the radar, and I was doing some particular research. Interlay was one of the ones that I really like. I made a series on Bitcoin and a strategy involving Bitcoin, and I'll post that series here in case you want to check it out, because I did already cover a lot about different things you could do with Interlay and its technology. So as I was doing my research, I was talking to different individuals in the Polkadot community, and I came across some different controversy and different discussions where there were some people that weren't necessarily pleased with some different things that were going on. So I wanted to get more information and kind of do my own research like they talk about in crypto. And so as I started to uncover this particular story, I started thinking of Murray. There was a show where it talked about, it was like paternity tests, and they would get different couples on and they would have different stories, and they would talk about, who's the father of something or a child. And they would have this big discussion and everybody would be like, okay, I wonder what the results are, And so that's kind of the feeling I had as I was looking this up. I was like, who's this baby's daddy? Like, who is the baby's daddy? And I wanted to get more information on what was going on and why people may be upset. And I do believe there are some positives as well as some different things we need to look into. So I wanted to kind of cover that. So I kind of went away from my original video that I was looking at. As I uncovered some information, I kind of wanted to put it out there to bring this information to the light. So let's get into what is going on and what is Interlay, what and who is Bob, and let's go on. So just to recap, what Interlay is Interlay is a Polkadot technology that is allowing Bitcoin to be used in decentralized finance. So it's mostly for bridging resources into Polkadot's ecosystem. So it's going to be used to bring Bitcoin, everything dealing with Bitcoin, right here on Polkadot, and to bring it into the Polkadot ecosystem. So that's essentially what Interlay is. And Interlay is, its symbol is INTR. All right. So, and it deals with IBTC, which is Polkadot's Bitcoin. And we covered a lot of that, so I won't go too in detail with it. Okay. But some of the places it was supposed to be able to take Bitcoin and bring it into new technology. So keep in mind, like we talked about in the past, most crypto, so things on Polkadot are interoperable. But normally with crypto, Ethereum's for Ethereum, Bitcoin's for Bitcoin, XRP's for XRP. You have, they don't normally communicate well. But on Polkadot is focused on interoperability. Okay, so it's supposed to be able to take all these different blockchains and all these different technologies and allow them to speak together and be able to transfer and do things with each other, be able to play better with each other. So some different places that this Interlay technology, which is mostly focused on bringing in Bitcoin into Polkadot as a bridge, they're also supposed to be able to bridge to other technologies. So some other technologies will be, as you can see on this particular picture here, you have Cosmos and you have Ethereum. Okay, so these were some other different places that you'd be able to see in the future IBTC. So this was kind of some of the thought process overall, and that all of the decentralized finance where you can make interest on your money and different things like that, the hub of that would be on Polkadot under Interlay. Now the INTR, that is the coin that is used for voting in the direction of this particular Polkadot project called Interlay. And the IBTC is just the Bitcoin that that the source of this particular Bitcoin came from Interlay. So those are the two different coins involved with this particular platform. So that kind of gives you an overview of what Interlay is. So let's go into who is Bob, or what is Bob, right? So let's go into that. So Bob is this. So what is Bob? Bob is built on Bitcoin. So that's what Bob stands for. So it's an acronym. Okay, so Bob is built on Bitcoin. It enables DeFi and innovation across all fields of Bitcoin use case and experimentation. Whatever you're building on Bitcoin, Bob is your Swiss Army knife for all things built on Bitcoin. So Bob is built on Bitcoin. So that's what it stands for. So let's read a little more about Bob. So Bitcoin meets EVM. So that's Ethereum Virtual Machine. So Bitcoin meets Ethereum Virtual Machine. At the core, Bob leverages Ethereum Virtual Machine, EVM, to enable the creation and execution of smart contracts, ensuring compatibility with existing developer tools, wallets, as well as key block explorers and data analytic infrastructure. So essentially, Bob is doing a lot of different things overall, but it's primarily dealing with Bitcoin and Ethereum. So let's go a little more in depth on what Bob is. All right, so Bob is going to deal with bridges. It's going to deal with different tools such as MetaMask. So MetaMask is like a wallet where you can normally store your Ethereum and different assets. And then Hardhat is like a development tool. And then it has a technology called rollups. So let's kind of just read a little bit more on Bob and try to figure out, does this have anything to do with Polkadot? So Bob built on Bitcoin, a rapidly growing Bitcoin layer 2 protocol is making waves in the space. Their current campaign, Bob Fusion Season 1, which started on March 27th. So this is very new. Today is just the beginning of April, and this just started around March 27th. It says, Bob is a new Bitcoin Layer 2 stack that combines Bitcoin's security and adoption with Ethereum's programmability and scalability. So it's talking about pretty much how it's going to take some of the strengths of Bitcoin, so, the proof of work, and the ability for Ethereum to make applications. Because right now, Bitcoin is very limited on what you can actually use it for because it's old technology. Ethereum is actually old technology as well. So we'll kind of go a little further into that. But it's trying to take the two biggest assets in crypto, combine them together, and make a a playground for people to be able to do different things, such as DeFi, wallets, gaming, SocialFi, so that's gonna be like social media within crypto. You're gonna have NFTs, real world assets, and AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, so let's go a little further, and then we'll kind of get my thoughts on everything. All right, so then, there are several potential use cases and ideas for building on top of Bitcoin, such as decentralized Bitcoin interest, covering staking rewards from other tokens into Bitcoin. So this is going to be a way for you to get interest on your money using different coins. You get interest on your money paid in Bitcoin. So that's great. Then you have Zap Money, enabling fast micro Bitcoin transfers. So that just allows Bitcoin to move around faster. Kind of like they have something called the Lightning Network, which is a Bitcoin technology that allows quick transactions as well. So this is something similar here. So what I really wanted to cover was this. Bob is going to be bringing together Bitcoin and Ethereum. But are they going to be using Polkadot? So just like Murray, we have to find out who's the daddy. But the results are in, and Polkadot is not the father, right? Who's the father? The father is going to be Optimism. So Optimism is an Ethereum-based technology that allows for Ethereum to be using, it's called a solution. So it's a technology that is helping Ethereum with scaling, such as faster transactions, cheaper transactions, and allow it to also be a little more interoperable, things of that nature. So this new Bob is actually not going to be using Polkadot. It's going to be using Optimism and its ability to have roll-ups and things of that nature. So Bob really is not currently a Polkadot project. Now, why is there confusion? So let's go into my overall thoughts and how this particularly impacts Polkadot. And then we'll wrap up there. So the thing with this is not, the reason why there's some confusion is because Interlay and Interlay's team is Polkadot. And the team that is building Bob is Interlay. So you would think that there'd be some more connection there. All right. So there's some people in the community, and this is what I heard, that were more concerned because the actual coin, Interlay, is not going to be associated with Bob. Bob is actually going to be its own coin. And that's where it would have been nice if they had introduced Interlay as the government coin for Bob, but they don't. They're actually two totally different things. So Interlay is going to be the DeFi hub for Bitcoin on Polkadot. And it's supposed to be for bridges, where Bob is primarily going to be focused on being a place that people can build applications for gaming, wallets, and to have compatibility with Ethereum. Now, the positive and the reason why they would want to do this is because Ethereum is massive. It's got like 3,000 applications, has a lot of money, and both of these are the most, in terms of the amount of money involved and big players involved, these are the top. So they want to go where the money is, which is understandable. But where does this leave Polkadot? So some of the things that are going to be incorporated that they're looking into is they're taking the Interlay IBTC, and they want to create a bridge where you could use all the stuff that you're doing on Polkadot and be able to bridge it into this new platform that's going to have all this activity and this whole new community. So because of that, that's a great thing. Okay, so some positive you have there. We're going to have different use cases. Now they're either going to create a whole new bridge. They're pretty much waiting to see if Polkadot's bridge is called Hyperbridge, if that ever finally comes, and that might be one of the reasons why some of this may have happened. But some of these bridges are supposed to be right around the corner, and that's one way that you'll be able to bring in the Interlay's coin, the INTR, and the coin for Polkadot's Bitcoin called IBTC. And by being able to bring those into this new ecosystem, that will give you some use case. Okay, so that's a positive. One concern I do have is the fact that Bob is also going to be able to have different bridges because they're going to be using Optimism, which Optimism has an ability to do bridges as well. And one of the focuses for Interlay was going to be able to bridge or to be able to transfer Bitcoin across different networks. That's its main function. So that's the one part where there may be some conflict, and to see like how much attention to this bridging from Bob to other places, because then that would kind of hurt more of the Interlay stuff. Because it'd be great if Interlay was primarily just for the bridging and having that IBTC, and I want to see what type of Bitcoin is going to be produced on Bob. Is it going to be IBTC, or is it going to be some different versions of Bitcoin? So those are some different things to look at. Again, some of the stuff is brand new and it's still being rolled out. The team is looking at possibly bridging stuff from Polkadot into Bob, but that's where some of the confusion is. Even the community stuff like the Discord and where people will have communication, it was all together at one point. Now they made a separate website for Interlay and a separate website for Bob, because they're totally different projects. Again, one is for bridging and one is to create applications for Bitcoin and have more uses for Bitcoin when it comes to decentralized finance. So this is what's going on. This is what's happening with Interlay. This is what's happening with Bob. Interlay's team is the one that is focusing and working on Bob. They are still going to be servicing everything dealing with Polkadot and its ecosystem, but now they also are focusing on this potential project that is utilizing the trifecta of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Optimism. And we'll see how this is. We'll see how this is in the end and see how it all plays out. I do believe overall that this potential wealth of money with Ethereum and Bitcoin is going to be great. And if Polkadot can have a bridge going to that, and IBTC having functionality in this whole new playground, it'll end up being a great thing. But for now, I am your Polkadot Specialist Vol. I appreciate you watching my video. Please like and subscribe. Until the next video, God bless.